awesome as I wanna be. Awesome as I wanna be. Awesome as I wanna be.
Hello everypony, I am Critical Thought and welcome to my review of the Season 4 premiere, Princess Twilight Sparkle. This episode was brought to us by the ever-so-talented Megan McCarthy, who has been responsible for some of the most beloved episodes in the show's history, including A Canterlot Wedding, Dragonshy, Party of One, and Lesson Zero. While she usually does bring us some great episodes, she was also responsible for the Season 3 premiere, which you guys know I wasn't that crazy about. Will she deliver her usual top-tier work in this Season 4 premiere, or will this be one of her rare missteps in her filmography? Let's find out. We begin this episode with Twilight practicing her flying as she's still getting accustomed to her new wings that she received during last season's finale. Applejack tries to compliment her and uses her new formal title of Princess Twilight Sparkle, but this makes Twi uncomfortable hearing her friends treat her like royalty. I see we aren't wasting any time getting to the foreshadowing here. It's really cool that the reason Twi is practicing here is so she can perform a new big finish to the Summer Sun celebration alongside the other princesses. The last time the Summer Sun celebration was shown in this show was back in the series pilot, so this little plot detail along with Twilight's ascendance into princesshood makes this new season feel almost like sort of a soft reboot for the entire series. Theme. After the main six check out the new stained glass window inside Celestia's castle depicting Twilight's coronation as the Princess of Friendship, Twi says she's a little bummed that her friends won't be able to stay for the ceremony since the Summer Sun celebration was what brought them together as friends. But not only are the other main five assisting Mayor Mare with a separate celebration in Ponyville, but Applejack tells Twi that she knows her new royal duties come first. Later, Twi starts freaking out in her guest room at the castle, scared of letting Celestia down on her very first royal duties. But Celestia then comes in to reassure her and calm her nerves. You know, when I made my ICC about Twilight's Mary Sue status, I guess it didn't have to go as recent as Party Poop to find an example of her anxiety still being with her post-Season 3. Celestia tells Twi that she's excited for the Summer Sun celebration this year because it is now no longer a reminder of her banishment of Nightmare Moon, but instead a celebration of her being reunited with Princess Luna. Damn, this makes watching the pilot episode so much darker. After Celestia leaves Twilight to her preparations, a mysterious black vine starts growing through the floor of the castle behind her, followed by Celestia letting out a gasp and a shriek. Once Twi awakes from a nap several hours later, she is shocked to find both the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time, causing both day and night to befall Canterlot simultaneously. Obviously, this is completely abnormal, so Twi and Spike head out to investigate. The townspeople of Canterlot are just as confused and beg Twi for an explanation since she is the only princess in sight, but a royal guard pony pulls Twi away into the castle to reveal that the royal sisters are missing! Dun dun dun! With Celestia and Luna missing, and Cadance in the Crystal Empire, the Royal Guard tell Twi, the only remaining princess, that she has become their de facto commanding officer, and must instruct them on what to do. Twilight seems overwhelmed by all of this responsibility at first, but collects herself and orders the Royal Guard to continue looking for the princesses. Just then, another Royal Guard pony bursts in with even more bad news. The Everfree Forest seems to be invading Ponyville.
My goodness, what is it that has caused you all such distress? Whatever it is, I'm sure it's nothing you need to really worry about.
At Sweet Apple Acres, the Apple family attempts to fight off the black vines of the Everfree Forest, but they appear to be indestructible. Rainbow Dash is also unable to bust any of the clouds apart. At Carousel Boutique, the vines release some kind of magical spore that disrupts Rarity and Sweetie Belle's magic, making them unable to control it. Twilight doesn't know what is causing the strange happenings in Ponyville, but she has a hunch that the elements of harmony will be needed to defeat it. She starts to run back to Ponyville to assist her friends with the invading forest, but then remembers that she can just fly there, thanks to Spike reminding her that she has wings now. After a pretty great comedic scene with Twilight crash landing into the Golden Oaks library and Spike slamming into the window that reminds me a lot of that fantastic moment with Rainbow Dash in Games Ponies Play, Twi reveals to the other main five that the princesses are gone to the shock of her friends. With all the chaos going on, Twilight instantly suspects Discord is the culprit. Sure, he was supposedly reformed last season in Keep Calm and Flutter On, but I like that Twi is smart enough here to know that old habits sometimes die hard, and that people usually don't just change overnight. This little bit of doubt in Discord's reformation is not only realistic and serves as yet another beacon of what sets MLP apart from some of the lazier kids shows, but is also a very subtle little seed being planted for the season finale, where Discord will finally earn the respect of the main six and experience his true reformation. The girls use the elements of harmony to summon him, and we get a great little cameo from the winter wrap-up song sung by Discord. Twilight pressures him to revert everything back to normal and release Celestia and Luna, but Discord denies his involvement. The main five don't buy it and are just about to turn Discord back to stone before Fluttershy stops them, saying that they should give him the benefit of the doubt and instead ask for his help. However, Discord is unwilling to aid them after all the accusations that he was behind this. Just then, Zecora arrives in town after having to evacuate her home within the Everfree Forest. While Zecora doesn't know what is causing the forest to suddenly grow any more than any pony else does, she does suggest that Twilight drink a potion that only responds to alicorn magic. She says that it might give her some insight into this mystery. Convenient how Zecora just happens to have a magic epiphany potion that only works with alicorns, and there has been only one alicorn left completely uncaptured.
Doesn't seem to be working.
Sorry, I had to. The potion seemingly transports Twi to Celestia and Luna's old castle, where Princess Luna soon appears. Twi thinks that she's found her, and asks Luna why she disappeared, to which she replies that there can only be one princess in Equestria, and that princess is her, and she begins transforming into Nightmare Moon, where we conclude Part 1. At the start of Part 2, Celestia arrives to demand her sister lower the moon, and Twilight warns Nightmare that she will be sent back to the moon if she does not stop what she's doing. I gotta say, this chase scene between Nightmare Moon and Celestia is really epic, and especially shocking when Nightmare Moon actually hits Celestia with her magic and sends her plummeting towards the ground. When I first saw this scene, the emotional impact was huge. I mean, I literally thought we just saw the first on-screen death in this show, and it was Princess Celestia. My jaw dropped at this entire moment. But soon, Celestia gets back up, and after Twilight goes completely ignored by her, Celestia reveals the elements of harmony in their original form hidden underneath the floor, saying she has no choice but to use them on her sister. This makes Twilight realize that she's not in the present, but instead merely a spectator of an ancient memory, a memory of the day Celestia banished Luna to the moon. This being a vision and not really what was happening at that moment does rob it of a lot of its emotional weight, but at least it expands on the pre-canon lore of the show, which is always a good thing, so I guess this sequence was for the better. Twi then comes out of her vision and explains what she saw to her friends, but tells them it didn't explain what's happening now. That's when Zecora recommends she take another sip of the potion to go even further back in time. Hold up. If visions of the past is what this potion does, then why does Zecora think it's the answer to the problem? What guarantee is there that the root of this issue, no pun intended, lies so far back in the past? Who's to say this didn't start to happen sometime last week, or even several hours ago? Twi just went back 1,000 years to the night Luna was banished, and Zecora thinks she needs to go back further? Why? I mean, she obviously ends up being right, because the plot needs to be wrapped up at some point here, but I just think it's kind of a leap in logic on Zecora's part. Regardless, Twi takes another sip, and this time sees the defeat of Discord. I do like that the animators paid extra close attention to Discord's posing in this scene, so when Celestia and Luna turned him into stone, he would look exactly the same in his statue form as we first saw him when he was revealed in Season 2. The vision then takes Twi a little farther back that same day before Discord's defeat, showing a mysterious glowing tree with the elements of harmony embedded in it, which Luna calls the Tree of Harmony. It's clear that this is actually where the elements originally came from, not Celestia and Luna's old castle. The royal sisters remove the elements from the tree to later use against Discord, but Celestia also mentions that the tree's magic will be able to, quote, contain all that grows here, even without the elements inside it. This comment leads Twi to believe the tree resides somewhere in the Everfree Forest, and that the reason the vines are engulfing Equestria is due to the tree losing its magic. After Twi comes out of the vision, the main six rush into the Everfree Forest to find the Tree of Harmony. After a short action scene involving a Crocodile, which looks to me like a rejected Pokemon, Applejack begins to express some worry about Twilight joining them to find the Tree of Harmony, fearing that Equestria will be without a leader if something happens to her. The other main four share her sentiment, causing Twilight to get upset that her friends don't want her help, so she starts heading back to Ponyville while the others search for the tree. Upon returning home, Discord tries to flip the blame onto Twilight about leaving her friends behind, claiming that Twi thinks she's better than every pony else because she's a princess and that she's above helping her friends, who will most certainly face more danger inside the forest. Of course, Twilight denies this and decides that she doesn't care if she's a princess or not, or if she's Equestria's only remaining leader. She runs back towards the Everfree Forest to help out her friends. Yes, Discord is obviously wrong about Twi being stuck up because of her princesshood, but I still don't think the decision to send Twi back home was a bad one. I mean, AJ's reasoning is pretty solid here, and she is trying to put the needs of all of Equestria before her own, or even Twilight's. I know the entire point of this little conflict was to show that Twi is still the same pony she's always been, and her new royal status hasn't changed her, but I think it was handled kinda poorly. Perhaps if Twilight was the one to have second thoughts about going because of her princess duties, instead of her friends banding together against her going, it would have worked better. In fact, this entire episode would have been improved if Twilight had to prove to herself that she hadn't changed since becoming a princess, rather than try to prove it to her friends like we have been seeing her try to do since the beginning of this episode. Conveniently, the main five happened to find the tree fairly easily by just stumbling upon it. You know, I'm getting kinda tired of these plot conveniences here. They're really starting to add up and hurt the enjoyability of this episode. The girls discover that the vines have overpowered the Tree of Harmony and are slowly killing it and sucking the magic out of it. They try to fight the vines away, but are just as helpless as they were back home in Ponyville. Fluttershy realizes that Twilight could help, but then they all come to regret sending her away. Suddenly, Spike comes falling down the stairs in front of the main five to tell them that Twilight is in trouble, and we soon see that a group of plants in the forest that resemble Venus flytraps, but much faster and equipped with sleeping gas, have knocked Twilight out cold and are preparing to devour her, when out of nowhere, Applejack wrangles the plant with a nearby vine. The other main four take on the other plants until they're defeated, and Twi comes too. The main five then apologize to Twi.
I sure am glad you came looking for us.
Not as glad as I am that you found me. The truth of it is, Twilight, we're simply lost without you.
Yeah, Equestria may need its princess,
But we need our friend.
This is probably the closest thing to a moral you're gonna get in this episode, even though it's not really a moral. It's cute and heartwarming, but it doesn't really teach much of anything. Twi tries to fight back the vines herself, but is also unsuccessful, until she remembers what Celestia said about the tree and its magic, and realizes the only way to contain the forest is to give the elements of harmony back to the Tree of Harmony. The other girls worry about how they will be able to protect Equestria without them, but AJ is even more worried about how sacrificing the elements will affect their bond together, as it was the elements that connected the main six as friends. However, Twilight corrects her and says that while the elements brought them together, it's not what keeps them together. It's their friendship that does that, and nothing will get in the way of that, not even Twi's new princess status. With that, the girls give up their elements to the tree, and the magic within is enough to push back the Everfree Forest and restore everything to normal, including the return of the princesses, who are encased in vines beside the Tree of Harmony. Suddenly, a flower starts growing in front of the Tree of Harmony. When Twilight touches it, it opens to reveal a box with 6 different keyholes. Gee, I wonder who's going to be opening this box this season. Celestia and Luna do not know what is in the box or where the keys are, but knows Twi will have plenty of help finding them. Once the main 6 arrive back in Ponyville, Discord notices they don't have their elements anymore and starts to think he can get away with being bad again, but Fluttershy puts him in his place in a pretty humorous scene. AJ then addresses a pretty big question I'm sure everyone in the audience had since the beginning of this episode. Why did all of this start happening now? Discord then replies that he wasn't sure, because the seeds should have sprouted a long time ago. Yes, Discord was the one who planted them. It was obviously a plan from back when he was trying to take over Equestria that sprouted up a little late, no pun intended, but it still ticks off Twi. Discord gives her one more sip of Sakura's potion, and revealed that the seeds he was eating upon his defeat by the royal sisters that ended up all over the ground were the cause of the vines in the Everfree Forest. They were supposed to arise many moons ago to capture the princesses, but the Tree of Harmony's magic held them back until now. We close out this episode later that night when the summer sun celebration continues as planned, with every princess performing their part flawlessly, including Twi. So, what did I think of Princess Twilight Sparkle? If I had to sum it up in one word, it would be fine. It wasn't as bad as the Season 3 premiere, mostly due to the shock value of a few key scenes, including the fake-out of Celestia's death, but I don't think I can say it was a particularly amazing one either. In fact, I think this was just a lazy retread of the Season 1 pilot with a little bit of the Season 2 premiere's story elements sprinkled on top. However, I don't want to pin all the blame on Megan McCarthy here. Maybe it was due to the writers being a bit caught off guard, because as I said in my review of Magical Mystery Cure, Season 3 was supposed to be the last season of the show since they finally had enough episodes to meet the minimum requirements for syndication. The writers may not have really been planning ahead for a Season 4 while working on Season 3, so they had to scramble something together last minute when they found out they weren't done with the show yet. The reason why I don't like this premiere as much as the ones for Season 1 and 2, despite this effectively being a mashup of those two plots, is because this one relied far too heavily on plot convenience, especially in the second and third acts with Zecora and the discovery of the Tree of Harmony. However, the subtle foreshadowing of Discord's betrayal in the season finale, as well as the introduction of the new mystery box that also ties itself into a recurring plot thread this season, helps to cancel out some of those negatives. If it weren't for that mystery box playing as big of a role this season as it does, I'd say there really wasn't a reason to watch this one and you could skip it, especially with no actual moral to learn here. But I think it's necessary to watch this episode to set up the rest of the season, so for that, I'm giving it a watch it once rating. However, if there was ever a dictionary definition of a watch it once episode, this is it. Sometimes I rate an episode with this rating simply because it didn't make me want to rewatch it. Not that I wouldn't choose to if I had to. Not with this one. I definitely don't want to watch this episode more than once, because unlike other watch it once episodes, I think it just gets worse with each subsequent viewing rather than staying the same like the rest of them do. As always, I am Critical Thought, and I will see you all in my next video. Never stop thinking critically.